The views and opinions expressed in this podcast do not necessarily reflect those of Into the Pit or the Vibes Broadcast Network. This show is intended for mature audiences. Please welcome your host, Coyote Knight.
Well, hello everyone. Welcome to another episode of Into the Pit. I have West Suburban Paranormal Investigators here, Audra and Nancy. How are you?
Great. How are you doing?
Oh man, I'm so good. I can't stand it. All right. So, and where are y'all exactly located?
We are in Aurora, Illinois, which is about 40 miles west of Chicago.
Chicago. All right. So Aurora.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that where I think Wayne and Garth were supposed to be at?
Yes. Huge. I think 2 years ago, or was it last year?
I think it was last year.
Aurora had a huge week-long celebration.
Gosh, I still remember watching that on Saturday Night Live, and then the movie came out, and I was on cloud nine. So tell us.
Dana Carvey's from Illinois, isn't he? Is that why they did that?
I have to look that up.
It was a while ago.
But tell us a little bit about yourselves personally.
I'm Audra. Nancy and I started the team almost 2.5 years ago. It was October of 2017 with two other people, and we are the last two surviving members, co-founders. We still have one person who's still on the team, but he doesn't contribute as much as he'd like to.
Oh, I hear you.
I've been interested in the paranormal probably my entire life. I've always had my dogs, after they've passed, they come back to me and let me know that they're still with me. And then just recently I've been able to see other people's animals when we're on investigations or in the neighborhood. I'll see somebody, one of my neighbors, she always trips walking out the front door, and now I can finally see she's got this Cocker Spaniel that trips her every time she walks out the front door. She has no idea.
So do you have abilities then?
I guess I do. They've been coming very gradually. I can hear voices in my head, names a lot. I've seen a couple of videos, I guess. I've seen a couple of visions. I've had a few of those. I like to say I'm a medium with training wheels because I have no control over any of it, and I don't know what I'm doing yet.
I hear you. I mean, there's actually a lot of people out there that are just learning their abilities, and the thing is just to get hooked up with a really good, psychic or medium, and just have them, teach you the exercises. Because my wife, she's just now learning to really control her abilities as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, and Nancy, what about you?
I've always been interested in the paranormal, more or less horror in general. Anything scary, I'm there. When I saw an ad on Facebook actually for a paranormal team in Aurora, I got really excited and applied and made it. And that's actually where I met Audra at. Her and I clicked immediately within that team. And then we bumped off and started our own, which is really cool. I'm very proud of our team. We have a really great set of people that work with us. We are learning like new equipment all the time, which is really good. I think a growing team is awesome. A little bit more about me. I'm actually recently divorced, and I was in a really bad relationship. Since my divorce, I've been more in tune with things. So I too am getting abilities that I never knew I had. I think I was sheltered from being in that relationship, to now that I'm kind of coming out a little bit. I don't know, I just feel like I have so much more abilities and get totally into our investigations. It's like that's all that we focus on. So it's kind of cool. It's a great hobby.
It's amazing because once I got out of my first marriage, I really started to learn who I was and what I liked. And that whole thing you said about being in tune, it's like once you've gone back and looked inside and said, hey, this is what I enjoy out of life,
right?
then yeah, you do become more in tune.
You
Yeah.
really do. So I'm real happy with everything right now. So we
Yeah.
do an excellent job.
Yeah, we try.
So, what are y'all doing while this whole lockdown is going on?
Um, well, we are making some plans, hopefully, for when we are, released or whatever. We do a lot of things in the summer with people, just random people at the cemeteries. And so we'll schedule a date, and if people will just meet us, we'll teach them how to use the equipment and stuff like that. So we were talking about maybe setting one of those up in the near future because we can all keep our distance at a cemetery
Mm.
and teach people how to use equipment and just do fun stuff. I don't know, not the average person doesn't go to the cemetery and hang out, but we do. So
Okay, I'm gonna ask you. It might be a little personal. If you don't want to answer this question, that's fine. But what made y'all decide to branch off and start your own?
We just felt that we were able to see a different perspective than the person who was running the other team. We didn't think we were being utilized as far as our experience, our life experiences. We're Nancy and I are a little older than some people. We have a little
she's
bit more.
speak for yourself, Audra.
We have a little bit more life experience, work experience than others. And we could see some holes that were occurring that could definitely be problematic in the future. And so we thought it was best to get out while we could.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's a good thing.
And it was a great move for
Yeah,
us.
definitely.
Do you find a lot of teams are more looking for fame than they are really getting out there and helping people?
Definitely.
Right.
Definitely. It
Yeah.
seems like we've got teams out here that are just trying to send videos everywhere that they can to get on one of the shows on the Travel Channel instead of maybe focusing on the family that's really calling you for help.
Right.
Yeah, we've kind of had that attitude of, if we were to ever be on television, great, but that's not what we got into it for. And if
Exactly.
if I never make it to television, big deal. I'm still doing what I
Right.
love.
Right.
We've
So,
got some friends on some other teams, and they talk about how they actually do talk to producers who are on different shows. And it seems like the shows want new ideas from them, and then they'll pitch their new idea. And in 6 months, they'll be
Someone else is
watching the
doing it.
Travels Channel and they'll see the show that they were pitching and they're not on it.
mm-hmm. Yeah, that's why you don't ever give up those ideas.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, this is a field that you get into because number one, you want to learn what's out there, and two, you do want to help people because there's so
Right.
many folks out there that they think, oh man, I'm am I crazy? Is this really happening? And you can give them a logical explanation or a paranormal one.
Right.
Right.
So yeah,
We're kind of the last resort, too. After everyone has kind of gone through their entire checklist of, is this pipes in the wall? Let's have the plumber come out and have the pest control come out. Well, okay, we're still having it occur, so who's left?
right.
Yeah.
I always found it ended up being electrical problems, believe it or not, because you get that creepy feeling with the whole EMF and everything going on.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
My first ever investigation, and this was in Baytown, Texas, which is just north of Houston. We were there, and I was so excited. I'm like, oh, these people are seeing things and they're hearing things. I can't wait to find something. Yeah, you know what I found? That old, that knob and tube wiring.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And they'd actually cut pieces out of it and had, the covering and wrapped wires around it.
Oh,
and,
no.
Man.
Yeah, and hung a light up in the attic. And so, number one, you had that old wiring, and then you got a knucklehead that, I mean, come on, that's a chance to start a fire.
Right.
And then they had a transformer literally over their backyard.
Oh,
So-
no.
Oh yeah, the EMF detector was like off the charts. It was
Right.
so bad. It's like,
Oh,
yeah,
my gosh.
you're not crazy, but what you're feeling is you're probably sensitive to EMFs.
Right.
It happens. So, now,
It does.
what's the one case that these people were so convinced that they had something, but you found that logical explanation for?
Maybe that museum, or like she had all the dolls upstairs, but it was the electric wires were right outside of that room.
That could be.
That was like
yeah.
an antique store, I think. I think it
And
was an antique
it was
store.
an antique store that had been a house at one point, and it had a lot of the history to it. Was the mom and dad lived in the house, and then they died in the house, and the girl took over, and something happened to her. But the attic, this woman had
Mhm.
made into a second floor, and it had toys and dolls, and I don't like dolls.
It
And
was
this whole
awesome. I
thing
love dolls.
was full of dolls. It was horrible.
But she swore there was some energy in that room, which you definitely felt something when you went in there.
Yeah.
But upon investigating, we see the wires that are coming straight into the house, and then it's breaking off from there. And that's exactly where all of the currents coming in was that one corner. So yeah, it was really cool. I enjoyed the dolls, actually. I think one of our people bought one of the dolls from her too. When we
Yeah,
left.
he did.
He did.
Yeah, we went back for the reveal, and he kept talking about this doll. And so I'm the one driving, and I hate dolls. He buys the doll, he puts it in my back seat. I'm like, if you buckle that thing in, so help me God.
Otter's like, nope, not me.
Right. Yeah, I think that would be like the main one where she was really convinced, but it definitely was the wiring.
Mm-hmm.
How did she take it?
I don't know if she really believed
She was okay because we had found a bunch of stuff downstairs.
downstairs, yeah.
There was an actual Hummel doll that she had that we were getting crazy readings off of. We would put our EMF reader up to this doll, and it would go crazy. You'd take the EMF meter away,
Yeah.
and there was nothing. And we took the box apart. It was just a doll. And we started talking, and it was the EMF would respond to the questions we were asking. So between that and I think the dowsing rod session, we got involved with someone from her past. So she
Yeah.
was
I
okay
think it
with
was
it.
somebody named, wasn't it the same name?
Yeah, it was the
Ken.
same name as the investigator we had with us. So
Oh,
So that was kinda
crazy.
cool.
Crazy. Do y'all have those dowsing rods that have the handles on it?
yeah,
She's
Yeah.
the expert on
Yeah.
those. They don't work for me. They don't like my energy or something, but they don't move. Audra grabs them, and a couple minutes later, she's getting answers. It's just incredible.
Yeah.
you know,
well,
you work with the pendulum, and
Oh,
I
yeah.
can't get that thing to work
Yeah.
to save anything.
Okay, my wife uses the pendulum, and I'll be honest with you. I've tried to show her that unless you've got your hand stationary, you can just think in your head which way you want that thing to go. And
Well, it's a current through your body, yeah.
and well, that and your hands will make these slight movements that if you're not really paying attention to, it'll make it go the way you want to. And I said, now you want to impress me? Put your hand on the edge of a table and hold it as still as possible and let me see it work. Now she still swears up and down it works, and I'm not taking anything away from that because I'm nowhere near an expert. I don't mess with the pendulums.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I really feel it works through the energy in your body, though. So it might go to the right or to the left if I'm thinking that. But most of the time, if I'm doing the pendulum, I'm not asking questions. So I'm not the one who's thinking, okay, I'm going to ask this, and I hope it says yes. So my body automatically go that way. Just like when she does the rods, we try not for her to actually ask the questions. We want other people on the team or the client to ask. So that way you can't really manipulate it. But it does work with your body.
Oh yeah. Well, and the dowsing rods, I learned how to use those when I worked for the water department, and I did that for 20 some odd years. And the whole purpose behind them is it will find where like a flow is going, like water or electricity or sewer, that kind of thing. And you know, we didn't have the fancy ones. We just had the old wires we would bend, and you'd sit there and hold them, and then you walked across the yard, and you'd see them cross when they were crossing that energy. And of course, you know as well as I do, you have to stand still when you're doing those and
Yeah.
to really see if it works, because
Right.
people walk across the room, you don't know what's underneath the floorboard.
Right.
That's a problem. But
Right.
we switched to the ones with the handles so nobody could say, "Oh, you're doing that yourself." Nope.
Exactly. Yeah, that's why we switched to is the ones that has the sheath around the actual rod itself, so that way you can't manipulate it.
Yeah, and they're cheap. They're
Oh
I
yeah,
forgot how much it was, like $10 or
yeah.
$5, whatever it was, and they work.
They
They
do work.
work. I'll put
It's
it up.
funny. We used to one of the places we went to. The woman was a geologist, and she talked about the same thing where she worked with the guys who did the water and looked for the pipes underneath the ground. And when I pulled out the dowsing rods, she goes, "Oh, those are witching sticks." I'm like, "Shouldn't we have that the other way? Shouldn't I be calling them witching sticks and you call them dowsing rods as a professional?"
Right. So, what is the most unconventional way that y'all do your investigations?
Hmm.
Cat toy?
Probably.
We
I
bought
would
these.
think.
We bought these cat toys. They're little round balls. They've got a button on them, and they light up when you move them. And so we've actually had a few instances where
Yeah.
we've had them on the ground, and can you please go and touch one of them, and it'll just start lighting up.
Oh, that's crazy. I was on a show the other day in the UK, and they were talking about those. And she goes, "Have you ever tried cat balls?" And I'm like, "My cats. I'm not touching my cats, and definitely not touching their balls." And she goes, "No, no, 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 no."
Yeah, they actually work. It was pretty neat. It was pretty incredible, actually.
How about like using toys? Do y'all like use like little toy cars and trucks and things like that too?
And balls. Yeah.
Little balls.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, as long as you know there's no breeze or anything going through that room, man,
Yeah.
it's
And a lot of times you
amazing.
can take it and like put the ball down and draw a circle around it and you leave it there. So when you go to another room, you can always tell if it's been moved, you know.
Oh yeah. Um, Another trick I learned is like when people say chairs will move,
Mhm.
is put like duct tape right underneath the wheels, just to see if it's moved any at all. Those are
Hmm.
Oh,
pretty
that's
cool.
good. Yeah.
Like a
So,
mark.
oh yeah, definitely want to, some kind of point of reference.
Hmm.
And if they've moved and you can't find any other explanation, there's your answer.
Right.
Right.
So, what's the most haunted place you've been to?
That would be the house, the residence over in Sugar Grove or in Wilmington. Was it Wilmington?
Waterman.
Waterman, yeah.
Mhm.
It's actually a residence. There was energy as soon as we walked in there. We'd been there, what, 3 times now?
Yeah, I think 3 or 4 times. Yeah.
And we found out so much history on the place, but there's definitely a couple different spirits in that house. It's just incredible, the energy. We actually have a couple clips. I don't know if you'd be able to hear it,
Mm-hmm.
but we have some audio clips that we have on the side to let you hear if you're interested.
Oh,
Well, tell them
yeah.
about the gunshot.
The gunshot, okay. At the end, toward the end, we went out in the backyard just to kind of look around and see if there was anything going on outside of the house. The neighbor the year before had shot himself in the garage, like on the other side of the alley. So
Mm-hmm.
we were just outside, getting some audio clips or whatever. My flashlight, which I didn't know, has an SOS feature on it. So just out of the blue, my flashlight starts flashing.
Mm-hmm.
And the guys that were outside with me, they're like, "Oh my God, let me see your flashlight. What is it doing?" And we're like, "Oh, it could be SOS or, whatever."
Mhm.
And while we're talking, it was like, "Okay, done deal." And we go on and we finish up. Well, later on, when I'm listening to the audio, there was, 3 or 4 gunshots that we captured through the audio, but we didn't hear it when we were there because as the gunshots go off, we're still talking about my flashlight. So if it was real, we'd all be hitting the ground. You know what I mean? So that was a real good capture. We were pretty excited about that one.
Now, have you had one of those that have just scared the crap out of you?
Which I don't know which one.
For me, we were in this tattoo parlor,
Oh yeah.
and the owner has seen a little girl. She's about 8 years old, and some of the clients have seen the little girl. And the tattoo parlor is another old house, and the first floor is where he has his shop, and then he kind of remade the attic into an office, a little bit of a living space. And I had my audio recorder was at the top of the stairs, and I was at the bottom of the stairs, and we were doing something downstairs. And I go back and I went back and listened to the tape, and there was this woman very creepily, and she says, "Come to me," from the top of the stairs. And I said, "You
And
know what?"
it was like whispery sounding. It was creepy as hell, but it was pretty awesome.
And
And that was
nobody.
the only time I think I've kind of taken my headsets, thrown them down, and went, you know what, I'm going to come back later.
That was a good catch, though. It
And
really was.
and there was nobody else in there but y'all.
It was just
Right.
us. Yeah, there was just the
He would
four
let
of
us
us.
come in when he shut down, and then we
Mhm.
just had to lock up when we left. It's actually the guy that does a lot of my work, so he pretty much trusted us to be in his shop.
Mhm.
Well, I hope
Um,
you got a freebie out of it.
Yeah,
well, yeah.
yeah.
um, but we caught a couple other things. A little girl humming. We have her on
Yeah.
audio. And then we also caught one of the chairs spinning that was in a different room. One of our boxes came off of the couch and slammed down behind me. I wish I was turned around so I could have seen it. But all you hear is this loud, like, bang on the floor. Audra and I are like different sides of the room, and we look at each other like, did you do that? No. Did you do that? So somehow the box went from the couch into the middle of the floor and just slammed. I mean, it was loud. But and then
And
right before that is when we caught the chair through the video. But we didn't see this stuff when we were there. It was later on that we captured it. Pretty awesome.
And has there been one of those places you're like, don't think I want to go in there, or I don't want to go back there? No.
Not for me.
There's a farm I won't go back to because I was I don't know if I was jumped when I got there, but I definitely brought something home with me for a day and a half.
Oh,
I'm never going to do that again. And she made it very clear when she left me that if I were to go back, that she would come back with me again. It wouldn't be a good situation. So I'm not ever going back there again.
so how did you get rid of it?
She left on her own.
Really?
And she made it very clear that she was leaving because she was ready to leave. She wanted to leave, and she could leave. It was absolutely nothing that I was trying to do.
She
So
said she said you don't like dolls, so I'm leaving.
exactly, there were no dolls here.
You know, it's just, I won't bring up another little story. I know this is y'all's time, but
Fine.
you've heard of Yorktown Hospital here in Texas, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we went in to the hospital, and we'd been going through all the different hallways and rooms and stuff, and constantly had our equipment out and all that. And we had passed by. It was like a playroom for the kids that were there when it was still a hospital.
Mm-hmm.
And so mind you, I even had walked in and out of this room. I can't tell you how many times. Well, then got real late, and everybody's like, yeah, I'm ready to go to bed. We're going to crash. And my wife looked at me and said, hey, do you want to keep going for a little longer? I'm like, yeah, sure. You know me, I'm up for anything. And we went back by that room, and my wife was right there where there's like a almost like a open window so you can see into it.
Mm-hmm.
And while she's standing there, and you would hate this, Audra, I'm sorry.
Oh, great dolls.
Yep. Here's this doll, and it's programmed to say "Mama," "Night Night," and "I love you," and all that kind of stuff. And it started going off.
Oh man.
Okay, well, first thing that pops in our head is must be a motion sensor. Waved in front of it, waved the flashlight in front of it, did everything, would not do anything. So like, okay, maybe the batteries are going bad or something.
Right.
And as we're messing with the first doll, there's another doll sitting directly across from it, and it's doing the same thing.
Oh no. I would be running.
So we had these things turned to where they're not facing each other, thinking maybe there was some kind of device that helped them to communicate.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the guys took the whole thing apart. I don't even think it had batteries in one of them.
Oh man.
Wow.
And they still talked back and forth. And this went
Oh,
on
that's
for,
crazy. So cool.
That would be really cool though, yeah.
I guess, a good 30, 45 minutes or more.
Oh
these
my
things.
God.
Wow.
And they would only talk when you asked them a question. And so we thought maybe it was an auditory thing, but our electronics guy, he took that whole thing apart. He says, no, it's just a doll that, you pick it up and you shake it, then it says something. But they're sitting in stationary chairs and nobody's rattling the floors or anything.
Mm-hmm.
And why wouldn't they have gone off the last few times we wandered in and out of that room?
Right.
So
That's so cool.
we stuck a K2 meter on a rocking horse that was in there.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, hey, you know, if you're in here and you want to communicate with us, we've got a rocking chair right here. Why don't you come sit on it and play on it for a while, and you know, just have a good time.
Mm-hmm.
And no, I mean, not even 2 seconds after I said that, the K2 pegged all the way out.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Okay,
Oh, that's awesome.
there's no electricity in this place.
Mm-hmm.
We had no cameras in that room, so the infrared wouldn't set it off. Everybody's phones were off, and they were in a separate room, so we're not carrying any of that stuff around.
Right.
You got a logical explanation for that one?
Wow.
Absolutely not.
That is so cool.
No.
Okay, I got a
No,
cousin
gotta
that
be.
I got a cousin that you need to talk to, because he still says that there's magnetic waves that are coming through, and that sets them off. I'm like, okay, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
There's always one of those somewhere.
Yeah. Who thinks that the 4G is messing with the spirits, or that or is it 5G now? I think that those
Messing
are
with the
messing with
equipment.
everything.
Yeah, it's the 5G now. Get ready to hear it all.
Right?
So, do you get a lot of people that are real skeptic and critical of y'all?
No, we end up blocking them.
There's a few, but nobody really voices it to us. I mean, except for like, maybe some friends that are just, wanting to pick an argument or something. But for the most part, not really.
No.
I think we get few people that look at us a little different once they find out what we do.
You know,
So,
what's amazing is you can walk into a room, and if somebody asks, hey, what do you do? And you say, well, I'm a paranormal investigator. And all of a sudden, you're the
all
rock
eyes
star.
on me.
Yeah, you are the rock star of the room.
Oh, yeah.
It's true.
Hey, I got a million questions. And I know they probably come running up saying, hey, I got this happening, and I got this happening. Don't tell me
Right.
about this.
Mhm.
Yeah, that is. It seems like at first you're afraid to say anything because you don't want the negative and the people coming up to you telling you, oh, that's a bunch of hooey. But more often than not, you've got people coming up to you going, oh my God, let me tell you this story. And
Yeah.
it's always from the people that you're looking at
least
going,
expect it.
they're the ones who have nothing going on. And they're the ones coming up to you going, let me tell you about my uncle, who died 20 years ago, but I still talk to him. Oh, okay.
Do you get a lot of the stories of the lady in white that walks across the room and all that?
Not really.
Not so much. No, I mean, we've got a huge Resurrection Mary story, I
Yeah.
guess, that's been in Chicago since the late 30s. Resurrection is a cemetery out close to Chicago, and there's a story about a woman in white
Mhm.
who was at a ballroom dancing, and then on her way home she got into a car accident and died. And she still goes, supposedly, well, the ballroom's gone now, but she would still go to the ballroom, and people would dance with her and let me take you home, and she'd be okay, and they'd stop on this street and need you to stop here, and she would get out and walk through the gates of the cemetery. And so that's kind of Our Lady in White, I think, but we haven't heard much from her since the late 80s.
Really? Yeah, usually some kind of lore like that, it just gets passed on to generation, and it usually gets embellished along the way.
Definitely.
Well, the street that she supposedly stops on has gotten so much more lights and strip malls and everything. It used to be this really quiet 2-lane street that only had lights at either end, and now it's fully lit up, so you probably can't see her if she is walking.
Do you think that all the new constructions and new businesses coming in is kind of taking a lot of that away?
I can see how that would
I
happen.
could see, yeah, for something like that, yeah. She's probably still there. I mean, like, she's not going to leave
nothing's
it.
happened to her. They haven't changed where she's buried or anything, so she's probably still there. Yeah.
Yeah,
People
well,
just don't see her.
one of the sad things, my friends in the UK, they've got so much history there and all these old buildings, but yet they're coming in and they're they're tearing them down and turning them into something else, or
Mhm.
Oh,
and it's ruining not only the history, but also the paranormal activity that goes on
Right.
in there.
hmm
So, so worst case, best case.
Hmm. So what would be the worst? I don't know. We really haven't had any bad ones. I mean, not really.
just
Maybe that abandoned house out there, Brian's uncle, his house.
yeah.
That was kind of bad.
I think it's kind of bad because nothing really happened.
Well, nothing really happened, but it was just like you just didn't know if there was people out there. Like it was an abandoned house, so people were like living in it or whatever. You know, that was kind of creepy in that aspect. But I don't know. We really didn't have any bad
We
ones.
haven't. No, I mean we've never gotten scared or run
There's
out
never
of
a basement
building.
we won't go in.
Yeah.
Put it that way. When you tell us, oh, there's something creepy in my basement. Okay, which door is that? Because that's where we want to go.
But if you had like people that tell you you've got something there just so you'll come in and look at their place.
We probably have.
I think
mean,
so.
we've had a couple, well, more than a couple, but a few places that we went to, we had gotten nothing at all. And there was one place, it was kind of crazy. We went to, and I was getting nothing all night long. And I'm ready to leave, and I'm kind of running my mouth a little bit, like, well, okay, well, we need to go, and let's, all right, well, it's really nice meeting you. And on the echo box, which is like a spirit box, comes back and says, shut up, please. I'm like, what the hell? It just told me to shut up. Needless to say, I don't talk so much anymore. But we also caught a couple photos there, and I didn't expect it either.
Yeah.
That was a spirit of a dog at that location.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool find.
I mean,
But,
do you ever get that impression that some people want you there because they're thinking they're going to get on TV?
I don't know.
I don't think so much that, but there have been people who are very, very positive that they have something going on, and we find absolutely no evidence of it. And they get upset with us that we haven't found anything, and oh, well,
Yeah.
you just weren't doing it right. Well, all right, I mean, we did one investigation. This woman was absolutely positive that there was this
The
demon
She had a
in this
demon.
little boy's closet. So we're in there, and I'm doing the dowsing rods, and our investigator is filming me, and I hear this growl coming from the closet, and I'm like, oh my God, did you guys hear that? And the investigator goes, that was my stomach. I'm like, okay.
So that was all we got there. But she swore,
She did.
that there was something there. It was she was obsessive.
She was. We ended up getting another team involved because we said, we found absolutely nothing. Can you go out there and see what you can find? Maybe we did miss something. And they came back with, no, we didn't find anything. There was absolutely nothing there, but she is absolutely insistent that something's going on.
Some people, that's all they can think of. It makes you wonder, if people's not setting the certain things up to say, oh, didn't you hear that? And there's nothing
Yes.
there.
Right. Yeah, we've had instances where we're walking and the homeowner will have something fly off the wall after we've passed by. And, oh my God, did you see that happen? And no, we didn't see that. No.
I know who you're talking about too.
We didn't see that happen. And
She was pretty slick.
Yeah. It just flew off the wall. Okay.
And her hand just happened to be back here, But she
Yeah.
really wanted us to find something there, and there was just nothing there.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. So, do you have like places on your bucket list that you've just got to go to?
Yes. You have a bigger bucket list than I do. So.
Hey, name them. Maybe we can
I
get you
would
there.
love to do Alcatraz. That would be my number one.
Oh, yes.
I would love Alcatraz, or just even Gettysburg would be great. The Villisca Axe Murder House is big. Possibly Eastern State Penitentiary, but I think that's getting overused.
Yeah. That one is kind of overused, but Gettysburg, as much as it's used,
Mhm.
I hear that you're never disappointed when you go there.
Right.
Something always happens.
My husband and I used to be Civil War reenactors when we were in college, and we would hear stories from our friends who had come back to do a reenactment at Gettysburg about how, we were talking to this really cool guy at night. He was in the bushes for some reason, and he was really, really an awesome guy. And they found out that they would turn around and the guy would be gone. So they're thinking they're talking to another reenactor, and it probably wasn't.
You still got your costume?
Yeah.
Then you have
Yeah.
to wear it. You have to
Still
wear
got it. All 9 yards of it.
So, how much equipment do y'all have?
Um, Quite a bit. I mean, really, as a team, we have quite a bit. Individually, Audra and I carry the bulk of our equipment for the team. Everybody is required to have a couple items, mainly in audio and, of course, a flashlight or whatever, but definitely audio. My newest toy I got is a millimeter. I haven't got to use it anywhere yet. I've been playing with it a little bit. Kind of liking it. I like the fact that it's multiple tools in one. That's less stuff I have to try to find a pocket for.
Kind of freaking yourself out at your house.
I am, just a little bit. I'm like, wow, is there something in here now? Audra, you got to come over and check out my house. I just moved, not what 10 months I've been there, so. But I also got a REM pod recently. Haven't had any luck with that yet, but it looks cool. So I'm hoping we get something out of that eventually. I do a lot. I have a lot of sensors that I use. The ones that have like the little antenna, that goes off with energy around it or whatever. We like to set those up quite a bit. And that's pretty much all of, I have a lot of just other stuff, but my main things. And I use a ghost meter instead of like a K2 or whatever. My preference is the ghost meter. I feel it's more sensitive. I trust it more. It doesn't go off as often, but I definitely trust it.
Okay, I'll have to admit I'm not real familiar with the ghost meter.
It's just like the EMF meter.
Okay.
I think
only it's got like a little gauge on it instead of the lights that go on and off or whatever. It's got like a gauge that you follow, but once it gets over half, it'll start making an audio as well, unless you turn that down. It's just it takes more to make that to activate it, I think. But
I think I have the bigger objects and the more experimental ones, like with the cat toys. I also have a plasma ball, one of those things that exudes electricity, and you touch it, and it's got the little line spikes.
That's really cool to use.
We're trying to see if that's going to do anything. So while most of our stuff fits really nice in those Pelican gun cases, I've got like 3 bags that I have to carry because, I've got like one of those Boo Bears that doesn't fit in the Pelican case.
No.
God, I want one of those things so bad.
We've never had it work. I'm not sure mine even works.
It works because it works when we touch it, but we've never had any luck with it.
So have you bought any equipment that you said, I wished I'd never bought this?
Yeah, the Boo Bear.
I got to at least borrow one to see how it works.
If you do, get the one, make sure you get the one that talks. I have the one that doesn't. It just lights up. I think I'd like it more if it had said something. There's like a Boo Bear Junior and a Boo Bear Senior, so you want to go for the senior one.
So when you get to those houses where the younger people live there, get you a Teddy Ruxpin and put a tape in it.
Exactly. We were at a house where we brought out all of our toys. We had this ball, and all of a sudden their dog came and took it. We're like, well, okay. There went that.
All right, so you said that you got that place that you really want to go to, or several places you really want to go to. What is there a place that you're just like, nope, I'm not going, don't want to have nothing to do with it? And it doesn't necessarily have to mean because it's paranormal, or just for whatever reason.
No,
I can't think of anything. No.
Okay, well,
I'm open.
I'll send you to my ex-in-law's house and let's see how you.
Well, there is that.
There is that.
There's that.
Now I could get my in-laws that I have now. They can make sure they'll set up a chance for you to come talk to them about the Jehovah's Witness if you want to do that.
No, pass on that one.
No, I think we're good there.
Well, see, now I've done two places.
Now we've got 2 places. Although, to be honest, at one point your ex-sister-in-law came calling. We almost went out there.
We almost went over there. Yeah, that's true.
We almost went out there.
So, if you had to make a guesstimate, how many cases have y'all been on so far?
Almost 50.
I'd say more than that.
You think more than 50?
I would say, I mean, like for the 2 years, within 2 years period, probably about 70, probably about 70, 75.
Yeah.
Mainly homes, mainly
Yeah.
residential. But we also do field trips with our team too. Like we went to Waverly last time.
Oh yeah.
And so we do some things like that as well. So
All right. And do you have like a screening process that you go through with your clients to see
hmm
if you want to be there or not?
We do, but I don't think we've ever turned anybody down either.
did we? I don't think we have either.
Mm-mm. I mean, we've gotten some, there have been a few cases where we've known that the person has a history.
When we went to Juliet.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
She had some quite outlandish stories, and we found some pictures of her on the internet. So we knew going in that this might be an interesting place to go, but we still went.
We still went because we were just hungry, that's all. Anything, you can take a chance with the paranormal, we're there. You never know.
Oh yeah, I hear that. So you've gone through your process of where you're going to go. How do you normally start out your investigations?
We almost start out a couple hours ahead of time. We usually go to dinner so that way we get out the, hey, how was your week? How you doing? So that way when we get to the place, it's full investigation mode. But before we even walk in the door, we've got the audio recorders on.
hmm
Okay.
And we'll go through the house. We'll ask, even though we already know what's going on, we've already had an interview by phone with the owner, we still ask them, tell us everything you know, and then show us where we're going and show us the different places that we need to set up things. We'll talk amongst each other going, well, okay, she says she sees something there, let's put a laser grid.
Yeah. And also, where do we feel things? I mean, like what rooms you're going in, and if you get that, that energetic feeling in there, or I don't know, I don't even know how to explain it. Just the energy. If the energy is strong, that's one of the rooms that we're going to be focusing on. We normally leave our equipment in the cars, and then we get our little, I don't know what you want to call it, but I guess they're taking us around the house, and we get all of our feelings. We go outside and talk about it, not really in front of the homeowner, but to ourselves, is what we're going to do and where we're going to do it at. Go back in the house and just start setting up.
Okay. And then everybody that you have on the team, do they have like certain, I guess, jobs you'd say that they do that might be different from someone else? Like we have somebody that does all of our history background on the places. More tech type guys. And,
Right.
Yeah.
And of course, we have our mediums as well. I mean, do you have that kind of thing going on, or is it a free for all?
Yes. No. Some of them are free for all. Some of them are just still trying to figure out where they belong, but they are definitely part of us. We do have some that have certain abilities, and we definitely work with them on their particular ability. Like Martin is our techie guy, so he does a lot of the videoing and stuff like that. We do have a couple mediums, a couple empaths. So it all depends on the story too, like what the client's telling us as to which member we bring along with us. Most of them, I mean, like I think there's never a time that Audra and I didn't go, but we'll bring different members with us depending, because you don't want to bring 10 people to somebody's home. You know what I mean? You pick and choose which one you're going to need for that particular investigation.
So do you find your area is kind of overrun with too many paranormal investigators, or is it kind of far and few between?
I think in our town now, we're either the second or third biggest town in Illinois, and there are either 5 or 6 teams
Well, that's not
just
too
in our
bad.
city alone. And
Yeah.
the funniest part is we have all come from the
that
same
main
team.
Yeah,
Other people went to that first team, and then they split off too. So
I
kind of
think
crazy.
in our area, it's pretty. There's a lot of teams, but there are only, I would say, maybe 3 or 4 teams that are big enough that actually go out and do most of the investigations. You look at some of the other teams, and they haven't done an investigation in 6 months.
And now you've got new people coming in, and they're looking for, I guess, mentors. What advice would you give them?
Not to fabricate. Do not fabricate or make things happen. Keep it all real. That means so much. Especially, I mean, in our team, if we catch anybody trying to fabricate their evidence or, we eliminate it immediately, and more than likely they're going to be gone as well, because we're all about the truth. And if we don't find anything, we don't find anything. It just is what it is. That's huge for us,
Yeah.
I think.
And a lot of people try to bring on some of the new apps that you have on your phone, and we don't really like a lot of the apps. I think we only
Nope.
use maybe 2 or 3. But it's a huge thing where you need to read every single line on that, because for the most part, that last line that nobody reads is where it says for entertainment purposes only.
Exactly.
And you have to read that entire description.
Yeah, I know a lot of people get those things. They're like, "Look, I found a ghost," but if
Yes.
you do go on and read it, it tells you that's what it's going to make you think you see a ghost somewhere.
Right. It's like
Right.
trick your friends.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Sorry, I'm
Oh,
getting.
pretty.
Yeah, my little tortie, she wants to get up and help every time. Well, she's my emotional support animal, because
Oh, nice.
I've got PTSD and
Mhm.
anxiety and all that. And
Mhm.
usually when I'm feeling that, she'll come jump in my lap. And then there's those times when, oh, Dad's on the computer. Hey, let me jump on and see
Right,
if I
I
can
want to
get
walk
on.
across the keyboard. Yeah.
Hey, have you thought of the concept of like using animals while you're out doing investigations?
Not really.
Mm-mm.
We've never discussed it.
I don't have, none of my animals would have been good to use. They're not that smart.
Well, I mean, there are animals out there, especially dogs, that are very sensitive to certain things, and they would be a great
Definitely.
asset. I mean, it's something to think about. Not that you just have to run out and do it. Kyle told me to do it. I'm going to go out there and do it. No, you just
We're actually in the market for a puppy, so maybe we should put that as part of
There
the
you go.
requirements.
has to be able to find ghosts.
Yeah,
How's that?
right. Good luck.
So, what big stuff have you got planned coming up?
We're trying to find out. We always do a big field trip every year, and we're trying to figure out where to go.
If it's
one of
even
our
going to
big-
be open
Yeah,
now.
well, yeah,
So
yeah. If it's going to be open,
we can't really even make plans for the future because we don't know when we're going to be released. I mean, we're locked down here until the end of this month, supposedly.
at the very least, yeah.
So
Are they starting to open a few things around there?
Starbucks.
Starbucks. Well,
Yeah.
our drive-through at Starbucks is not shut down once.
That's good. People need their coffee.
I think they'd have a mutiny on their hand if they did that.
Yeah.
Like my favorite hamburger place is Whataburger. I don't know if y'all have heard of Whataburger or not, but
I've heard of it, but we don't have them out here. Yeah.
well, some group out of Chicago actually came and bought them up, and they're now expanding out of Texas into a whole bunch of other states. So,
oh wow.
but yeah, if they had totally closed, I probably would have died from heartbreak.
We've got a couple of reveals we have to go back to. We were able to do a couple of investigations before the lockdown, but we haven't been able to take their evidence back with them yet.
Yeah, that's.
We actually do a really good way of giving them their stuff back on a thumb drive, any photos or audio we catch. And then we also do a small written report that kind of tells what equipment we use and stuff. We try to educate people as much as we can, because otherwise they'll buy something and not know. They think they're getting readings and really they're not. So a lot of times we try to educate them as we're investigating at their homes.
Now, when you completed an investigation and you found the place to your standards, what you would say was haunted, and these people don't want whatever is there to be there, do y'all have people that you can contact, or do you dispel these things yourselves, or do you not recommend it at all?
We tell people at the beginning when we're even doing the phone interview that we are not the team to come to if you want us to get rid of them. We can do a couple of cleansings that will help, hopefully calm everything down.
Right.
But we can't get rid of them for you. And we've got business cards for a local priest. I think he did exorcisms.
Yeah.
but we've never had to contact anybody. We've never had anybody who's really wanted to get rid of.
They just wanted confirmation more than anything.
Yeah.
So they're not crazy.
Yeah, I'm one of those that, I mean, we've had a spirit in 3 different places that we've lived at, and I'm like, leave them here as long as they're not hurting us. Let them wander
Exactly.
around.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
coming. They're coming with you. Yeah.
Well, and the thing is none of them have traveled with us. We had.
Oh.
Oh, wow.
See, I lived in LaPorte, Texas, and the place that we lived in was actually not even a block down the road from a cemetery.
Oh wow.
I walk out my front door and I'm there in 2 minutes.
Nice.
And we have a medium friend that would come over, and we had all these crazy things happening. I got a grandfather clock from my grandfather, and I know you're familiar with grandfather clocks. Those things they're not light. They're extremely
Right.
heavy. The bases on those things are incredible, and yet every morning they would be laid over on its side.
Oh my gosh.
If it was knocked over, I think it would have woke me up.
Definitely.
Because you could drop a pin on the floor and I wake up. And my lazy boy chair, as big as that thing is, it would be turned upside down when I'd get up in the morning. Now you tell me how that happened.
That's where you're living at now?
That's
Now,
crazy.
This was back when I lived close to Houston.
Oh, okay.
And no offense to my Houston listeners, but I hate Houston and I couldn't wait to get away from it. 48 years of living there, or I could come up to beautiful Austin area. There's no competition there whatsoever. But anyway, all these crazy things were happening, and I didn't know what to think. And the medium came in, and she actually found a room where there was, I guess you'd call a vortex, where these things were passing through. She goes, they're never going to be the same. They're always going to be different because they're just passing through.
It's a doorway. Yeah.
Exactly. And being that my wife has abilities,
Right. They're right.
They're attracted to that.
They're drawn to
Right.
it.
They don't want to ever
You know all
stay.
about that.
I sure do.
We moved up here, and the town is called Cedar Park, which it's north of Austin. Moved in the house. Didn't even once think that there'd ever be anything in this house, but the cabinet doors would open and close, and
Oh wow.
you'd hear dishes rattling and all this kind of stuff. And it was a fairly new house, and so the pipes in it were good. They were not popping or doing any of that stuff. And we had a medium tell us that there's an apparition of an older lady there, and she says she looks at you like the son she wished she had, and she just loves to hang out in the kitchen and cook.
Oh, that's really
Oh, wow.
nice.
So I'm like, well, I don't want to get rid of her,
Yeah, she seems pretty nice. Yeah.
But then we kept getting these noises in the attic, and I thought my wife was just hearing things until I was there, and I heard something sound like it was walking across the ceiling, and it was so frightening to the point where I went and got my 45. I climbed up in the attic, and mind you have to have a ladder to get into this attic. You can't just jump up there and pull yourself in. You have to get in on a ladder. And I went up there, had the flashlight, I had my gun out like this, and I'm looking, couldn't find nothing.
Wow.
Well, the people that owned it, they're retiring. They decided they wanted to move back into the house, to our dismay, and so we had to find another place to live. About a week or two after we moved out, they called us and they said, "Is there ghosts in this house?"
Oh my gosh.
Like, we could only tell you. Well, so we moved to this house that we're in now, and since we've been here, it's not been anything really bad, but you keep seeing a head pop over the stairway and look down at you.
Oh my God.
And I've seen it so many times. I'm like, okay, this is the norm. And
Right.
Please, not right now, sweetie. That was going on, and we found out that there was a a ghost of a young child that he was just curious and
Mm-hmm.
liked being there. And one evening, we're sitting in the living room. We have the big sliding glass doors, and we kept hearing this sound like somebody was throwing rocks at the back window, the little tiny pebbles.
Yeah.
Went out there, couldn't find nothing, and it's not like my neighbor is gonna chunk rocks at me,
Sit there and throw rocks at your window. Yeah.
and it was just so weird that this was happening, and then all of a sudden it quit, and it never happened again. And I had a medium on the show, and she told me, she says, I see this kid. He's got kind of that hippie looking hair, almost like a surfer dude type of, personality. And I see him being really talented, and just telling me all these things. I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
And we then found out that night that all that stuff was going on, that a friend of my kids and my wife, he about 20 something years old, he was jogging down the street and he got run over and killed by a car.
Oh, no.
Wow.
And so I did not tell the medium anything about it, and I sent her the picture, and I said, tell me what you see when you look at this picture. And she goes, oh my God, that's the kid that was standing behind you while you were doing your show.
Oh my God.
Wow.
So, I mean, have you ever had one of those kind of awe-struck kind of moments?
Probably one of the residents we did when we were doing an echo box around the coffee table in the living room. We were all sitting on the floor. When we listened to the audio later, it wasn't even through our spirit box that the voice came through, but there was a voice, like it would have been right next to me, probably where Audra's sitting, and it was talking, and it was a little kid's voice. So that was really, really cool. It just totally gave you chills when you heard it, because you knew it was right there with us. So that was a really cool find.
Yeah, he was sitting right there next to us.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome.
Yeah, and make sure you do whatever you can to not bring any of these things home with you.
Yeah.
Audra, I'm looking at you.
Audra, she's the one. They
I
follow her.
know. I have a problem with that. I know. And I do a lot. It's whenever I don't prepare is when I get screwed. And it happens every single time. So you'd think that I would,
Yeah.
make sure I prepare myself, but
Yeah, normally we do pretty good at that.
Oh my God, have you ever had anything like attached to you and make you sick or anything?
definitely. I've gotten jumped, I think, 2 or 3 times, and each time I can tell. And Nancy will look at me and she'll be like, "Are you okay?" And no, I'm not okay. And it just happened a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah,
We
your whole
were-
personality changes when that happens.
We were at this really old house, and this woman said that the person who lived there before her was renovating this room, and he fell backwards. He literally fell backwards through a wall into a hidden room that they had blocked off.
Yeah.
God knows how many years before. And we went in the room and we were doing an EVP session, and I was getting so sick. We were only in there for about 15 minutes. I came out and I thought I was going to have to run to the washroom. I was so sick to my stomach.
Oh.
And we still had to go down in the basement, and I'm sitting pretty much on a bag of rock salt in the basement. I'm like, I can't even stand up at this point. It was bad.
Oh my gosh.
Whatever they closed off in that room wasn't good. They closed it off for a reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've like my cousin, he'll swear up and down all this is a bunch of baloney. But when you actually have something attached to you and make you physically sick,
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to see that happen to him and see what he thinks about it.
Right.
'Cause, it's not just, oh, I think I got food poisoning. It's an immediate.
Oh yeah. Don't mean to keep telling my stories in between here, but when we left Yorktown, I had something happen where my stomach was hurting really, really bad. I mean, it's like a knife felt like it was grinding through me, and I couldn't figure out what it was. I went to like 3 different doctors. I can't tell you how many tests that they had done. They couldn't find anything wrong. I was basically hyped up on all their, pain meds and all that stuff, and I cannot figure out what's wrong. And I went to our medium friend, and I'm like, "Hey, why do you think this is happening?" And she says, you brought something back from Yorktown Hospital. I'm like,
Oh.
and she says it's a young kid, and he's in a wheelchair, and he just looks at you as if you're a father figure, and he's not meaning to do it, but he's doing it and making you sick.
Oh my gosh.
She says, well, we have a friend he's got this ability to be able to dispel things.
Oh, that's
And-
good.
And even though we don't guarantee that when we go on our investigations, but
Right.
Right.
he's got this ability. And she said, you need to call him right now, and I promise you things will get better. So I called him. I'm like, hey, dude, this is what's going on. This is what Nayeli said. And so he started talking to me, and immediately the pain went away and never came back.
Wow.
And
That's
after,
amazing.
Yeah.
I think that went on for 3 weeks before
Oh my
I
God.
got help.
That's a long time.
Wow, that's horrible.
Yeah, so anybody that's watching this and you want to get into doing ghost hunting, or if you just got into it, please, whatever you do, sage, prayers,
Right.
You can put the intent into like a necklace or anything like that.
Yep.
Anything for protection. My wife, being an empath and her other abilities, she's able to put this barrier around me when we go places, and then we'll go in, we're doing an investigation, everybody's getting something, and I'm not getting nothing, and I'm like, Michelle, if you don't stop this right now.
There are so many different things out there you can do. Nancy meditates, and
Yeah.
you do really well with that, and I can't. I've tried. I don't know how many times I've tried, and I just can't do it. So, but I've got my own prayers. We wear St. Michael medals, and I think that you can kind of almost personalize it to figure out what works for you and what doesn't. I've got that bubble, like what you're saying, that your wife has.
Mm-hmm.
And it gets to a point where I can almost feel if someone's kind of pinging on the outside, trying to get in. So
Yeah, well, I want her to stop it.
Because you can't get anything.
Yeah.
I'm not getting nothing. I'm hearing my buddy Rodney. Oh, dude, you won't believe what just happened to me. Are you freaking kidding me? I just walked out of that room. So before I have you tell everybody how to get a hold of you and all that good stuff, we're thinking about doing another paranormal chat. And we would love to invite y'all to come to that if you don't mind.
Oh, definitely. Would love to.
We'll have to go through and see who can be there at what time, and see if we can all agree on a time. But the last one I thought was very, very well done.
I think so too.
Yeah, we had a good time.
Yeah.
Y'all were wonderful, and
Thank you.
I think you probably made a couple of new friends after that show, didn't you?
We sure did.
Yeah, we did get some friend requests. That was awesome.
Yeah, I know.
Like their page and stuff. Yeah.
So, yeah, that's what we're all about. Unity here, para-unity.
There you go.
Anyways, so how can everybody get a hold of you? Social media, if you got YouTube, anything?
At this point, we're just on Facebook. We have a new tech with us. He's just been with us for about a month, and then the lockdown happened. He's going to be trying to do a YouTube page for us, so we're kind of, although we've got grown kids too who are like, Mom, we can do this for you. All right. Thanks.
So it's in the works, but yeah, right now we're just through Facebook. We meet a lot of our clients through Facebook too.
Okay.
So.
And that's,
we started doing library presentations, but those all got canceled from the lockdown. But we've got about 5 of them that we're supposed to have scheduled between now and Halloween's. Whenever we were able to get out and see people again.
Yeah.
And so it's just West Suburban Paranormal Investigators, right?
Right. If you do
investigations,
Facebook.com investigations, Facebook.com /WSPINV /.
Okay. And if you have anything that you ladies want to share, like video-wise or anything, please let me know, because we'd like to post them on our page.
Oh,
okay,
sure.
yeah, we definitely have some stuff for you.
Definitely.
We'll keep in touch and let me know, and we will definitely do that for you. And when you get your YouTube up and running, send us the link. We will definitely post that as well.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much.
Hey, we're a family.
Dysfunctional as we are.
Well, believe it or not, our time is up, and
Okay.
I just want to thank you, ladies, for taking time out of your day and giving me such a good interview. And
Yeah, sure. Thank you very much for having
We
us.
enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
well, thank you. It's humbling, and it's hard to be humble when you're perfect in every way.
We haven't experienced that yet.
No.
Well, thanks again, and thank you all for watching and listening, and we hope to catch you on the next show.
All
All
right.
right,
Take
thank
care.
you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining us on Into the Pit. Please follow us on Facebook at the Vibes Broadcast Network and Instagram at the Vibes Broadcast.